Then everything went dark. I don't remember falling. I don't remember the code blue, the defibrillator, the frantic voices calling my name. What I do remember, what I will never forget, is what happened next. It wasn't like passing out. It wasn't like sleep. It was like waking up, only not in my body. I became aware of myself, but not in the way I'm used to. I wasn't in the hospital anymore. I wasn't in pain. I wasn't scared. I was free. That's the only word I can think of. Free. At first, I didn't understand where I was. There was no room, no walls, no ceiling. But there was light, soft, golden, not like sunlight, but something deeper, like it came from within everything. It didn't blind me. It didn't burn. It just was. And it filled everything with peace. I looked down, or tried to, and I realized I didn't have a body like I used to. I didn't have hands or feet, but I still felt like me. I could think clearly. I could remember everything. But the way I existed was different. I wasn't made of flesh and bone anymore. I was made of awareness, of presence, like I had always been this way, and my body was just something I had borrowed for a while. And then I felt it, something pulling me forward. Not a force, not a voice, but a knowing. A gentle, quiet certainty that I was going where I was meant to go. I didn't have to walk. I didn't have to move. I just went. And as I moved, without moving, I began to see things. Not with my eyes, because I didn't have eyes. But I saw. I saw colors I don't have words for. I saw shapes that weren't shapes. I saw life, pure life, everywhere. It wasn't like nature, but it was alive in a way that nature only hints at. Everything was connected. Everything was breathing. Not with lungs, but with meaning. With purpose. And the peace. I can't describe the peace. It wasn't the absence of noise or stress. It was the presence of something so complete, so whole, that nothing else could exist beside it. Sadness, fear, loneliness, they weren't just gone. They were impossible. Like trying to imagine darkness in the middle of the sun. I didn't feel like I was visiting. I felt like I had come home. And then I saw him. I didn't see a figure. I didn't see a face. But I knew he was there. I felt his presence like warmth, like love, like the deepest breath I'd ever taken. It wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't frightening. It was like recognizing someone you've loved your whole life, but only now truly seeing for the first time. And in that moment I understood. Not with words. Not with thoughts. But with my entire being. I understood who he was. I understood who I was. I understood why I was there. And then, without being told, without being asked, I began to remember. I remembered my life. Not in pieces. Not in flashes. But all at once. Every moment. Every choice. Every word. Every feeling. It wasn't like watching a movie. It was like living it again, but from the outside with perfect clarity. I saw myself as a little girl, sitting on my mother's lap, listening to her read stories. I saw the way she looked at me, the way her voice softened when she said my name. I remembered how safe I felt. And I remembered how, years later, I didn't call her enough. How I got busy. How I assumed there'd always be time. I saw myself in high school, laughing with friends, feeling awkward, trying to fit in. I saw the day I made fun of a quiet boy in class because everyone else was laughing. I felt the shame now, fresh, real, because I could see how much it hurt him, how it stayed with him. I saw my wedding day. Mark, standing at the end of the aisle, his hands trembling. The way he looked at me, like I was the only person in the world. I remembered the promises we made. And I remembered the times I broke them, not with betrayal, but with impatience, with coldness, with silence. I saw my children being born. The first time I held Emily, how she gripped my finger with her tiny hand. The way Daniel cried the first night home, and I was so tired I almost didn't get up. But I did. And I stayed with him until he fell asleep. I saw the patients I cared for. The old man who died alone, holding my hand. The young mother who lost her baby and I didn't know what to say. The way I sometimes rushed through my shifts, focused on charts and meds, forgetting to really see the person in the bed. And I saw the small things, the cup of coffee I shared with a coworker who was having a hard day. The time I let someone go ahead of me in line because they looked exhausted. The note I wrote to my son when he failed his driver's test, telling him I was proud of him anyway. All of it, every moment, was there. Not judged. Not punished. But seen. And not just by me. I knew he saw it too. And he didn't look at my life with disappointment. He looked at it with love. With understanding. With sorrow for the pain I'd caused, yes, but also with joy for the love I'd given, even when I didn't realize it mattered. And that's when I realized, yes, we remember Earth in the afterlife. Not like a memory you have to dig up. Not like a story you tell. It's part of you. It's woven into who you've become. But the way you remember it, that's different. Here's what I mean. On Earth, we remember things through the lens of our emotions at the time. We remember the anger, the hurt, the pride, the fear. We remember what we thought was important, getting the promotion, winning the argument, being right. But on the other side, I saw my life through the lens of love. Not just romantic love. Not just family love. But the kind of love that matters, the kind that lifts someone up, that sees them, that gives without expecting anything back. And I saw how every act of kindness, no matter how small, rippled outward. Like throwing a pebble into a still pond. I saw how that note I wrote to my son didn't just comfort him that day. It stayed with him. It shaped the way he saw himself. It made him kinder to others. I saw how the old man who died holding my hand didn't die alone because of me. He died loved. And that changed something in the room. It changed something in me, even if I didn't know it at the time. And I saw how the times I failed, when I was harsh, when I was selfish, when I turned away, those left marks too. Not because I was punished, but because love notices absence. Like a light going out in a room. It doesn't make the rest of the room dark, but you feel the loss. And then I saw others. Not everyone at once, but one by one, I became aware of them. People I had known. People I didn't know. Souls like me, who had lived on Earth and were now here. My mother was there. I didn't see her with my eyes, but I knew her. And the first thing I felt was her love. So strong, so warm, so full of forgiveness. She didn't say, "Why didn't you call more?" She didn't say, "I missed you." She just loved me. And in that love, I understood how much she had always loved me, even when I couldn't feel it. I saw my grandmother, who died when I was 12. I remembered crying at her funeral, not really understanding death. But now I understood. And she smiled, not with her mouth, but with her being, and I felt her pride. Not because of what I'd done, but because of who I was becoming. I saw a patient I had cared for years ago, a woman with late-stage cancer. I remembered how scared she was, how she asked me, "Am I going to be okay?" And I said, "I don't know, but you're not alone." And I stayed with her until she fell asleep. She was there. And she reached out, not with a hand, but with her presence, and I felt her gratitude. Not for the medicine or the care, but for the presence, for the love. And I saw people I had never met. Souls who had lived quiet lives, unknown to the world. Some had suffered greatly. Some had been overlooked. Some had been broken by life. But here they were whole. They were radiant. And I could see, clearly, that their pain had not been wasted. It had been seen. It had been held. And it had become part of something beautiful. And I realized, in the afterlife, we don't remember Earth to dwell on the past. We remember it to understand the journey, to see how every step, every stumble, every victory, every silent act of courage was part of becoming who we were meant to be. And then something shifted. It wasn't a voice. It wasn't a vision. But I knew I was being shown something deeper. I saw the bigger picture. Not in images, not in symbols, but in understanding. I saw how every life is connected, not just to the people we know, but to everyone. How a kind word to a stranger can change the course of their day, their week, their life. How a moment of patience with a child teaches them they are valued. How a silent prayer in a hospital room carries more weight than we know. I saw how time on earth is so short, like a breath, but the impact of how we live that breath, that lasts. And I saw what truly matters. Not the house we own, not the money we make, not the titles we carry, not the opinions people have of us. What matters is love. Not love as a feeling, not love as a word, but love as an action, as a choice, as a presence. It's the way you look at someone when they're hurting. It's the way you listen when you're tired. It's the way you forgive when you've been wronged. It's the way you show up, even when no one's watching. And I saw how easy it is to miss this on earth. We get caught up in the noise. We chase things that fade. We measure ourselves by standards that don't last. We forget that the smallest moments, sitting with someone in silence, holding a hand, saying, "I'm sorry," are the ones that echo forever. And I saw how much we are loved, all of us, no matter what we've done, no matter where we've failed. Not because we deserve it, not because we've earned it, but because love doesn't work that way. Love just is. And it reaches for us, even when we turn away. And in that moment, I felt something I can't fully explain. It was like a door opening inside me. A door I didn't know was closed. I had spent so much of my life trying to be good enough, trying to do the right thing, trying to be strong, trying to fix things. And all along, I didn't need to earn love. I just needed to receive it, to let it in, to let it change me. And I realized, that's what this place is. It's not a reward for the perfect. It's a home for the broken, the searching, the trying. It's for everyone who ever loved, who ever tried, who ever failed and kept going. And then, I knew I had to go back. Not because I wanted to, not because I was ready, but because I was needed. I didn't hear words. I didn't see a sign. But I knew. My time wasn't up. My story wasn't finished. There was still love to give. Still healing to do. Still moments to live. And I felt a deep sadness, not because I was leaving this place of peace, but because I knew how much I would forget once I returned. How the clarity would fade. How the noise of the world would rush back in. How easy it would be to lose sight of what I had seen. But I also felt a quiet strength, a knowing, a purpose. And then, like a breath being drawn back into a body, I was here,